ComicCast issue number 184, brought to you by Dwayne's World Comics and Games, 457 East Sullivan Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. They carry comic books, graphic novels, statues, toys, and gaming merchandise, including miniature games, board games, and RPGs. Check them out, Dwayne's World Comics and Games, Kingsport, Tennessee. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I'm Adam Wade Adams.
I'm Jason.
And this is Gaumer.
We're at ComicCast Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, wherever you get social with your media. If you're hanging out on YouTube, make sure you smash the like button, share out the link. Let's grow the live chat. If you want to catch a very, very boring pre-show, you can go to patreon.com.
It was exciting.
/ComicCast Pod. It was
got
horrible.
excited towards the end.
No, it was terrible.
We're joined. We're
going to pick it up now because we're joined by a special guest, the writer, co-creator of the Image comic book series Coyotes, The Few, Saints, and most recently Thumbs, Sean Lewis. Welcome to ComicCast.
Yeah, it's nice to have you. Hey, look at that.
Wow. Adam breaking up.
The best.
Nice intro music. The guitar is like awesome. I wasn't expecting that when the screen.
Yeah, that's courtesy of J.R. Mounts, the pickle
Take
guy.
this shit serious.
He wrote that song. We stole it. I asked him if we could use it. He said, sure, just give me credit. So you can check out all of his artwork and stuff down in the description below. So we're going to kick this thing off ComicCast.
ComicCast style.
Do it, Jason.
We're not going to talk about Dan Didio first.
Hey, we can do whatever you want to do, Gomer.
Yeah, whose
am
turn
I in
is it?
charge?
Whose turn? Yeah, whose turn is it?
After the question,
I think it's Adam's turn.
Whatever.
I think so,
Does
too.
it matter?
I don't know, Boogie. Does it matter? Is this just chaos? Is it
What, am I the
anarchy?
boss?
You're the
Am I
boss. You're the owner.
Do it, Adam. Let's get
All
into
right.
it. Let's get into it.
what's your favorite GoBot? No. All right. So our question we ask every guest is, what is your favorite Rocky movie?
I usually go 4. It's the one I watch the most.
Ooh, he ended the Cold War.
Good answer.
He ended the Cold War, man.
Oh my God, a man after my own heart.
I mean, Rocky training by himself, like carrying logs and like running in the snow. I mean, just I don't know. It's the one I always exactly Drago. I mean, it's the one I grew up with.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
They never expected him to run off the road to like go up in the snow and
These Americans share our honorary.
It's like, he's not on the road. How did we not think of this?
How do we catch him now? He's loose. He's loose.
He will get frostbite for sure.
What's the first Rocky movie you ever saw? Was 4 the first one, or did you see number 1 in the theater since you go to the movies twice a week?
I was doing that much then. No, I didn't see 1 until a lot later. I'm pretty sure I saw like Rocky 2, like an uncle who babysat me, had me watch it. I was pretty young during that. 4 is the one though that I just remember. Like, I went and visited cousins up in Canada. They would have it on. They would ask us questions like, "Do athletes train like that in America?" And I'd be like,
"Of course, every athlete does a 30-minute dance number before a boxing match. Are you kidding me? Have you not seen UFC lately?"
Yeah.
I think the right answer is Rocky 4. But people try to be snobs. Like Adam, the better film.
The first Rocky.
The first Rocky is the better film. It won an Academy Award.
It is
Gomer.
It's a better made film.
There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer. Yeah, but the production, the film quality of Part 4, like the way it looks. Oh man, it's so much better than all the rest.
Throw in the damn towel.
Yeah, I need a boss hoodie still.
The boss hoodie, dude. I gotta find a boss hoodie. I bet they still sell those.
I like
retro.
Yeah, Tyson Fury, he's in it now. You know, like you guys watched the fight last night. Like Tyson Fury's entrance was like Apollo Creed's Living in America. Like it's just kind of insane to watch.
That's awesome.
I'm so glad Tyson Fury won that fight. I was just arguing on the Wrestling Council last week with those guys. They were telling me that Wilder won the first fight, and I was like, no.
Are we talking about actual sports now?
Fury outboxed him for the entire fight. Yes, he did get knocked down. And they were like, well, if you want to talk about points. And I'm like, it went to the scorecard. You have to talk about points.
Yeah, you lost everybody, Boogie. Sorry, it's actual sport.
I'm
There's
sorry.
an XFL game going on right now. Are we holding you back from XFL?
Yeah, blame Sean. He brought it up.
No, we brought it up. It's Rocky.
The live chat is here. It's rocking and rolling. Comic Book Bob is here.
Oh, sorry, Boogie.
Thanks,
I would actually love to see Mike Tyson.
I was just trying to talk to our listeners. That's all.
Right?
Mike Tyson do a comeback where he goes, I don't know, what country can we use nowadays? North Korea, China. But Mike Tyson going kick some ass at 80 or however old he is. However old Rocky was.
We're talking about one of the biggest fights in heavyweight boxing history, and you cut us off to talk about Mike Tyson coming back?
That's what I want.
Wait, this Tyson kid was one of the biggest fights in history.
I mean, we could have had Dennis Rodman go over to North Korea and play basketball and have world peace, but no.
No. Had to ruin that one.
Welcome to ComicCast, Sean.
Enjoyed it. It was great.
The live chat, as I tried to say earlier, is going nuts. Comic Book Bob is here. Venomized Ryan is here. Chad Johnson has returned. But he lost his emoji. Good. We got a sweet Wolverine emoji down there for you guys to play with tonight.
We'll just pretend that that's Chad tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean.
He does kind of look like him.
Sean, we just ramble about stuff and hope comic creators are listening so they'll make a comic book about it.
If the chat has any questions, we can use them.
Thanks, Gaumer.
I'm just helping you out, Boogie. I don't want you to I have a question, and all my questions suck for you, Sean, because they're all about how awesome your artists are.
Oh,
I know it sucks. You're an awesome writer, sci-fi, dystopian stuff. It's right up my alley. I love everything, but I mean, like thumbs. Where does the decision come to use that color palette with just the black and white and the pink? And Coyotes, does it even work if you don't have Caitlin Yarsky doing design work on that book? I mean, it's amazing to me. It's so good.
I mean, I'd say, so I'll take them in order. I mean, the color palette.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Color palette is definitively Hayden. Like when we were talking about it, we knew it was going to be a pretty dark and bleak book. We had a couple of conversations, and I was just like, I think when the tech comes on, the tech is really alive. And so then he sent me like a sample page, and it was all black and white. It's not a page that ended up in the book itself. But then there was this long ribbon of just like neon pink and purple. And he was like, is this too much? And I was like, no, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. It communicates so much about the world and what's going on and what everything means to everyone else, the relationship. It's so well done. I love it so much.
Hayden's brilliant, when I met him, but I basically reached out I met both of them through a Boom Comics Facebook page.
Oh, wow.
That used to exist. Like, I think Boom didn't want to actually take submissions or deal with people at conventions. So they just created a Facebook page and they'd be like, dump your art here and we'll look through it. And
we'll have an intern thumb through it.
They never would comment on it. So it was just like endless like drawings. And so like I had a couple of conversations with Eric Stevenson at Image. I had just done Saints and I had Coyotes and the Few ready to go, like first issues written. And I was like, how do you find an artist? Like I have no idea how you do that. The artist from Saints, we were in the same town and we're working on a theater production. So
wow.
That's how we met each other. And so I was just like, I was naive. I was like, Image, you guys put us together, right? Like you'll find me an artist. And they were like, no, like that's not what we do. And then Eric was like, you should go to DeviantArt, I guess. And I went to DeviantArt. I don't even know how to fucking go. I don't even find stuff on this. So I found the page and I found Hayden's art first. And it was all this crazy dystopian stuff. And so I just reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'm some stranger in Iowa. You want to do a book together? Like, and he wrote back. I sent him the first issue and he was like, fuck it, let's do it. And he was still in college. He was at Rhode Island School of Design. He was in his senior year. And he was just like, I'll do this while I'm graduating. And then the same night I found Caitlin's art. And Caitlin's art, no, I don't think Coyotes is definitely not the same book without her. I mean, I definitively with both of those artists found them for the book that they were writing for.
Nice.
Like I saw the eyes. Caitlin's eyes are like insanely soulful characters. And so like I knew how dark Coyotes was going to be, but that it was also going to be narrated by a child. I was like, I needed to have some level of fairy tale or Disney to it while still being a horror book.
Wow, yeah.
It's a hard thing to pull off. And so when I saw Caitlin's art, like her work wasn't horrific in the stuff that I found. I had found this like comic she had done herself that she posted on the Boom page that was about a fairy, but like the faces were really alive and there was a little bit of magic. And so then I reached out to her and I did the same thing. I was like, here's the first issue of Coyotes. I did this book that no one read at Image. Maybe we should. And she jumped right on board. And those are both like long running relationships. Like Caitlin and I have a new book coming out in June. And Hayden and I have already created the first issue of our next series. Like,
wow! Can you talk about the book coming out in June? Is that a Boom? I know she's been doing some work at Boom.
She's working on like a Buffy anthology.
Yeah,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
She's writing and drawing for it. The art for it is fucking.
It's insane what I've seen. Yeah,
it's great. It's so great. No, both books will be over at Image. So the book that we're doing, that Caitlin and I are doing, is called Bliss.
Okay.
That's at Image in June, and it has to do with like memory, but also addiction, like drug addiction. It's kind of us dealing with like the mythic characters that have to do with memory and the loss of memory, and how addiction can be used by people who are sad or upset to get rid of bad memories. But those memories drip into a lake and a river and go off to this god who's just becoming stronger and stronger.
Oh, whoa.
Sounds amazing,
dude.
The art is fucking. If you thought the art in Coyotes was good, like Coyotes is also Caitlin's first comic book.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Leveled her and Hayden. Like the Few was, he had done a little bit of smaller work, but for the most part, the Few was his first real book. Like, and definitely as a co-creator, like it's just amazing watching them with each book, going like, Jesus Christ, like I don't know where the ceiling is for like either of them, because Caitlin came from game design. And like I said, Hayden was in college at Rhode Island School of Design, studying illustration primarily. But with both of them, it's just interesting because they bring such specific things from their backgrounds. Like, I think Caitlin, there's a level of, because she works in gaming, I think the way the characters move and their eyes and faces, they have a level of interactivity that they kind of anthropomorphize in a way, like more than some comics do. And Hayden, I think because he came from a school that's such a commercial design school, his paneling is fucking crazy. Like,
yeah,
his colors, people always bring up like his color palettes and like the roughness and like the kind of Sin City, Frank Miller, Ronin version of his line work. I keep saying to people, I'm like, go back and look at the Few or Thumbs and look at how much motion he creates in a panel. It's unreal. Like, I think that's actually like his secret superpower, is that like there's a kinetic feeling to his panels. And I only say it because I was a fan first. Like when I was flipping through, when I saw his pages, I was like, holy shit, this is like a storyboard, but it's moving. So I need to work with him. I need to grab him now. Same with Caitlin. I saw the faces and everything, and I was just like, I feel like I'm looking into a real person's eyes. Like, I got to reach out to her. And luckily they both didn't think I was out of my fucking mind or something.
Yeah. I like Caitlin's artwork. Hayden's artwork though is like so polarizing. Like I love it. Yeah. I love it. And it's like you explained it, it's almost like an animated film on paper, which is amazing. But I think his artwork even elevated going from the Few to Thumbs, and it's because of that coloring that you talked about earlier. What's that decision? Who makes that decision? Where does that whole idea come from?
I mean, coloring, I'm pretty hands-off with the artist. Like, I feel like if I get the right artist for a book, they don't need much from me except for a really clear world. Like, that at that point, I'm like, I'm going to make the world as clear as possible for you. So I'll write a lot of, like, I'll end up overwriting, like, narrative. You know, like, I'll write, like, short stories or, like, even short novellas of, like, here's the whole world. This is how I see it operating. This is where we are. This is what the buildings might look like. Here's what technology might look like. In Coyotes, like we'll talk about like Juarez in Mexico, but then I'll be like, but I also want to manipulate it as if it's like got some elements of Neil Gaiman or even fables in it. And then once they know the world, like with artists of that level, I'm just like, I'm gonna stay the fuck out of your way.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. It's a visual medium. I'm not an artist or a designer. Like, it seems insane to me when people are like, because I know I've heard them at times, like definitely with Caitlin, we've had some talks where like there was a point where early on she was getting hired by people to do comics, and the people were using her wrong. They just kept trying to control her panel by panel, and she was miserable. They weren't getting her best work, and then they would like yell at her. They'd be like, "Why is your work on Coyotes so much better than ours?" And it was like,
"Because it's your work."
Yeah,
it's like, but that's like what is it? The Todd McFarlane will tell stories about Marvel yelling at him how he was drawing Spider-Man.
Absolutely insane! What an insane thing to do to McFarlane. Where they were
right.
I love those stories where they're talking about like, there's a lot of webs on that page. Like, I think maybe there should be like a web. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like.
A director really isn't supposed to tell an actor how to act.
No, I just think it's a weird thing, and it comes from fear. It's like no one really knows a lot of the time why a book sells. Even pros don't. Like when I have a book that sells better than the last one, I have no fucking idea why. I wish if I did.
Right? Yeah. If you knew that, they'd all be selling, right?
We've actually got this question from two different people in the live chat. So let's hit it real quick. Chad Johnson wants to know, what was your inspiration for Thumbs? It was in my top 5 books of the year. And also, thanks, Comic Book Bob. Anybody interested, Comic Book Bob is dropping links for Sean's books in the live chat right now. So if you're interested, click that and check it out.
Thanks, Bob. He's the hardest working guy on.
He really is the best admin you could ask for.
No, this is an amazing setup you guys have. The podcast interviews I have are never like this. So congratulations.
Yeah, we just sit around and bullshit, really, dude.
I
was serious when I wanted to talk about Dan Didio. We could go on about that. We don't even have to talk about your shit.
Oh God, I can kick him off the show. You see, the great thing is, see how that works, Sean? Now he's gone.
Yeah. See.
The inspiration of Thumbs, one was we finished the few, and I knew, selfishly, I turned to Hayden. I was like, I don't want to fucking lose this guy. I was like, what do you want to do a book on immediately? Like, we had just finished the few, and I had a couple of options. One of which I was like, I have this one idea. It's not very fully formed. Technology like freaks me the fuck out, and there'll be a brother and sister in it. That's as much as I knew. And he was like, I have younger siblings. I'd love to do something with a younger sibling. And then I was like, okay, now I'm on the hook for the book. I gotta go.
That's how I am with Boogie in the message. I'm like, I better shut up about adding another show.
Yeah.
He just takes it and runs with it.
Yeah, it definitely locks you in. So then I started working on some narrative stuff, and like I think the basic parts of Thumb started to come out. Basically, we're like, I have this really like love-hate relationship with technology. Like I can't have the career that I have without it, because without email, without Facebook, without any of those things, I don't find anybody. Like I need to have a book at Image. I got the first book that I did at Image was picked up through a cold email submission to Eric Stevenson. So like without email, it never happens. At the same time, I may be my age, but I'm like, it's weird fucking Pandora's box. That like we opened it and it just keeps getting bigger and wilder and crazier and more violent. And we're like, oh shit, like we can't close the box anymore. Like what the fuck do we do? And so like I was working from that. And then right around that, the shootings happened at the high school in Florida. And I remember seeing I was still working on like, what's the central concept of this? And I remember watching, I don't know if you remember, there was all the students, they did like a CNN.
A town hall?
Sort of, but it was like all the people speaking were the students who had survived.
Yeah.
And so like, and I just remember watching it. I got really mad. I had a relative, like, I feel like Twitter and Facebook exist to make you mad at your relatives' comments or their status.
Yeah.
And one of them posted like, hey guys, one of my relatives, I hope they don't watch this, but they're like,
no one watches this, dude. No one watches it.
My family doesn't even watch it.
My family's pretty safe with anything I do. So, but they were like, they just posted like, hey guys, don't worry about this. Like the kids are gonna save us. I have a toddler, and I was like, fuck that. Like, right. I do not want my kid. That's such a weird thing to throw on them, and it made me start thinking about it. I was like, oh. Part of what tech does is it forces us to weaponize our children because they know how to use it better than a lot of us.
Right.
Like they grow up with it. So like I can see my parents and my brothers who are even older than me, like when they need something done online, they're asking their kids or their grandkids to do it. And that was the point where I started going like, that's when like the school that Tabitha goes to where she's being indoctrinated in a reverse direction, but also like the Facebook school that Thumbs goes to that I started going like, oh, basically then I was like, oh, Zuckerberg, if he wanted to create an army, he would just indoctrinate kids. And then once that opened, all of the bigger ideas just funneled through it. So it was like big ideas first of just like, what does tech mean? Pandora's box. What is the complete opposite of it? Like we're from a Puritan background. So I think Puritanism would come back in. I mean, it already is in our life in some way. And so then it was just like, once I saw that town hall and it led me to like, oh, how would Zuckerberg do this? Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, I can't say
he definitely
I'm a guy that runs a bunch of Facebook meme pages, and like two very popular ones have gotten taken down, but still stolen, just for no reason. And I was like, okay, great, and I can't get them back. Thanks, that was a lot of work for no reason. When I read this book, I was thinking of Twitch running in a school instead of particularly Zuck, because the character plays video games and they're all gamers, and good with drones and technology. But that's what I thought of. Like, oh yeah, what if Twitch created a different kind of community?
Right.
Same idea. Like when you're interconnected, what kind of message can you give? Became a big part of that. Like, and also how do you make people love you? And I was like, oh, if whoever this was, like in this Camus, like if he gave away technology to poor people, like of course, like there would be a thought of like, oh, this is so altruistic. Like this is like a hero. This is our Robin Hood.
Let me hit this super chat real quick while there's a pause in the action. Venomized Ryan for $5 says, I have nothing to say. Regardless, Ron, thanks for being here. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the $5. Thank you. I think Adam might have to chug root beer, right? Is that
what? We can make Adam chug root beer. If you want Adam to chug root beer, drop the root beer emoji in the chat.
I'm gonna drop the emoji.
So, Sean, I can see that.
Just watch this, Sean, and then we'll move forward.
Oh, no, it got him. Got him.
Oh, he's never done that before. He's choking. He's dying. Oh, what have we become? What have we become? Thank you, Zuckerberg.
It's turned into Jackass. It's turned into Jackass.
I'm all wet now.
Oh, that was amazing. It was on your face and your face only.
Okay. All right. So, Sean.
If we can be serious for a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Try.
I've been researching, and I see that you're also you're an avid playwright. You even have some film credits, I believe. So where does your? I mean, you've done these great books, stories. Would you? Is this a story that you've thought of that would maybe be a play, but then you geared it towards comics, or what how do you bounce between being a playwright and doing comics, and what is playwright like your true passion?
I mean, playwright's my start. I'll be honest, the comics are more lucrative than playwriting right now. So I spend a lot more time writing comics. Plays take a really long time, and it's just like getting them, they are a passion, but they have to be, because they're just so much fucking work.
Right.
And they're really frustrating, and they take a lot of people, right? And you need a lot more people to say yes. I mean, I've been pretty lucky because of the relationship at Image. Like Eric has been a big support. Eric Stevens has been a really big support of my work. So usually when I have a book, I show it to him first, and then it goes. I mean, I still love, like, I'm going to do a solo performance up in Western Massachusetts for summer stock this summer. And I still do a decent amount of theater. But a thing like Thumbs, like, why I really love the comics. I grew up forever wanting to write comics. I just didn't know how the fuck you did it. I had no idea. Like, I was in upstate New York. No one around me even respected comics, let alone worked in comics. Right. You're this fat, annoying kid. You're like a stereotype of everything wrong with upstate New York. and like, I just remember, like, I tried once. I fell into theater, and right after I graduated undergrad, it was right around the time like Marvel did like a talent search, and anyone could send in stuff. And I sent them a play of mine, and they were like, "Fuck that, this sucks." And so I was just like, I guess comics isn't gonna really happen for me. And so, like, for the next 15 years, I did a lot of theater. Like, as a playwright or an actor or a director, I was probably doing, honestly, between 8 and 15 shows a year. So I've run a couple of different theaters, and then the comics came out of nowhere. So the thing that I love about it, like, in answering your question, is like, I could never do Thumbs as a play. It would be like the most unwatchable play ever, because of like all the locations and the technology. Like, none of that would ever like really play. But like, as long as Hayden or Caitlin can draw it, I can invent anything.
Nice.
The plays are like really, like plays. Like, there's a lot of them that break it, but like, there's a reason why a lot of plays are like these kitchen sink dramas that happen in 1 or 2 rooms. Because it's like, oh, we can control and contain this for 2 hours without really stretching anyone's believability, where they're like, I don't think you're in space. Like, I just don't believe you're in space right now. so that's where like I feel like the comics have allowed me to just explore stories that I wanted to tell, like genre stories especially. Like I love sci-fi, I love horror, I love crime, that are just in a lot of ways hard to pull off in theater, or that I mean there's people who do it. I never figured out how to. A lot of my plays were a lot more like political dramas. So I think like a lot of the large idea stuff that happens in Thumbs or Coyotes, like that's the stuff that's in my plays, but there's no werewolves.
Nice.
Right.
Basically.
But I like that mindset because as a comic reader, we don't want you to come into writing a comic book with the mindset of, oh, I got a limited budget. There's only so much I can do because this is going to be a Netflix pitch. So I'm going to write it this way. No, man, you got an unlimited budget. Let's just run with it. So I love hearing that from a comic creator.
Well, it's also it's a Christmas present every time you get an email from your artist. Like it makes my day. My day is better. Like the moment Caitlin or Hayden, or like I'm working with this artist Zach Hartong right now. Like anytime I get an email from one of them and I open it, I'm just like, even when it's just the thumbnail sketches, I'm like, oh shit, that's
gonna be so cool. Yeah. Like an idea just coming to fruition where you see like the physicality of, you're like, what? When my idea is now on paper, like it's so cool.
Yes, it's awful because like you see your idea, but you're also like, fuck, you made my idea so much better.
Yes. Yeah. Nice.
That's the way I feel about in my wrestling matches. It's like, wow, you made me look so much better than I actually am.
I'm sure. Like, I think that's the great thing with collaboration when it's working. I mean, when it's not working, you're like, fuck, man, you are fucking my shit up. You know, when it's working and you're like, I would have never thought of that camera angle or the way you laid out this page. Like Caitlin does some layouts at times with her background where like it looks more like stained glass, some of the pages in Coyotes, than like traditional panels. Yeah. And the first time she did it, she was like, I know it's a little crazy. And I was like, fuck it. Throw out the page I sent you. Like, do this thing because it's way cooler. Nice. And so that stuff is great versus obviously when you're like, oh God, what did I sign up for?
Right.
I'm not a theater guy, so I have no idea what this means. But Venomized Ryan says, Sean, did you work at all with the Guthrie in your Playwriting?
I did not work at the Guthrie. So the Guthrie is like a super famous theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota. One of the oldest regional theaters in the country. I did not work there, but I've worked at other theaters of a similar size. Like there's places like Baltimore Center Stage, which is like the biggest theater in Baltimore. Like theaters like that, or off Broadway. I've done a couple of shows at like Urban Stages and some other theaters. No, it would have been a great honor. I did not get to work at the Guthrie. Thank you for reminding me.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Well, I mean, with that being said, you've won plenty of awards, and you've been to Tribeca though, haven't right? So
yeah, absolutely. I did. My best friend Matt, who I went to college with, is an actor, a really, really talented actor. He's actually, there's a new show out called For Life that he's on that 50 Cent produces.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
On ABC, I guess. So he, like a year ago, he used to make his living when he wasn't acting. His day job was he was tutoring wealthy kids in Manhattan. And so like he had all these crazy stories, and then he was just like, what if we made this into a web series? I know all these like really excellent actors from TV and theater. Would you direct it? I was like, okay. Nice. Yeah, we made this web series, and it premiered last May at Tribeca.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
And a lot of stuff is happening that way, like just stuff getting word of mouth and web series. I think the show that I always pitch to Gaumer, but he can't get into it, Letterkenny, that started as a web series, and now it's like through word of mouth and everything has grown huge.
I mean, it's an amazing time for that. Of like, I'm sure you guys are seeing with even being able to do the podcast the way that you're doing it. Like,
right.
The bar of the technology is just lowering it. So like, if you have an idea, you can make something. You know, like honestly, like what we shot, it's amazing. There's still times where like I get kind of Matt and I will talk, and it's like it's insane. We got into Tribeca because we filmed it with not a great camera. And basically like a China ball, like if you've gone to a party outside, right? Like those paper lanterns that are lit up, like we had that on like a dimmer switch. Like that was our like lighting setup. And so you're just like, wow, we're really doing this with like what feels like the most like unprofessional of like setup. But if you have good story and you have good idea, and you can get it to some people, it is amazing how quickly things can spread or grow. It's good for sure.
And it's a testament to, like you said, to the story. If you can do something super low budget and it still shoots to the stars, that's a testament to the
I always think
idea.
whenever I hear low budget, I always think of Blair Witch and Saw. The first ones, super low budget and it's exceeded expectations by far from everyone.
I just watched a movie on Prime called Spaghetti Man, and the weirdest thing. The concept is absurd and silly, but the weirdest thing is I noticed how good the editing was. Like the editing just kept me interested in the movie. But if you ever get a chance, check it. It's not bad. It's called Spaghetti Man. He shoots spaghetti. So.
Yeah, I want to bring back Hayden in conversation real quick. My first experience with that guy was a comic. I believe he wrote it and drew it himself, but it was Cold War. I think it was called.
It's Chris Abella.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. That was a trip. I thought the art was very on point and very far left unexpected. It was another sci-fi kind of dystopian kind of universe, and did not go anywhere I thought it would. Every issue was just a constant surprise. It was more like a day in the life of everyone in this little crew instead of like one central character as most stories. Very, very cool stuff. But I like that guy a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious. Like, I think Hayden at this point is like 25 years old.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that I look at and I'm just like, he's got so many books underneath his belt.
Yeah.
It makes me really curious if, like, when he's 35 or 45 and as his style grows and he gets to feel even more confident, I hope I'm there for it. I'm like, I hope we're still like doing stuff together, because I just think he's going to do some unreal things. Like I think like Miller's Ronin is totally like one of the people are looking back at it, at the art and the layouts and going like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
I think Hayden's got that in him.
Nice.
Sure.
So
also want to talk about. Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
I was going to mention we got to talk about Saints a little bit.
Sure.
And the intro page really, piqued my interest because I'm a metal guy, and also another, sci-fi comic guy. So in the intro, you talked about that. I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I feel like I was your rambunctious uncle, because I have a nephew that's the same way, where we all grew up in a super religious household. And I was my brother and I were the kind of ones like showing him like other stuff that's out there. But if you want to talk about, that book at all.
Sure. I mean, Saints I love. It was my first book, and I didn't think I was ever going to get to do a comic again. So it was very much like, we're pulling out all the stops for this thing. Like I really didn't think that there was going to be a second book after it. And it did. It came so much out of just my history. Like my Uncle Emmett, he owns a comic book shop. He's he's like 12 years older than me. So like when my mom got divorced, we lived with him and my grandparents, and I used to just steal his fucking comic books. So I would go through and like I looked up to him, so anything he was into I was reading, but I had to be like fucking 6, like I was like 7, 8 years old, and I was just like swiping like Black Orchid and Swamp Thing and Preacher when it first started coming out. I was like, wow, like I was grabbing that, like, so I'd be going on the school bus, getting in trouble at school sometimes because like, reading stuff, and then like I went to a Catholic school for a little bit, and having an ex-nun pick up an issue of Preacher and flipping through it, not good. Like really bad. And also he was really into metal. He had 2 good friends who played in heavy metal bands locally. So I would he would have to babysit me, and I would find myself in these basements all over upstate New York with egg cartons on the wall and just weird girls headbanging. And I was just like, what? This whole world is insane to me. And so when I met Ben Mackey, the artist for that, we were working on a play, and he's a guy who had taught himself how to do art by looking at religious paintings.
Oh, cool.
Basically how he trained himself. And the play that I was doing, I needed somebody to do you remember the old, I don't know how old you guys are, but the old school hand crank projectors?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do a live animation where I had an artist who would draw stuff and crank at the same time. So it would go across the screen. like across the wall, and it would look like a cartoon was kind of being drawn for you as you were watching.
That's awesome.
It worked really well, and so Ben was introduced to me as like, this guy's great. He works really fast. He can do what you need. And he was bringing in these drawings, and they look like all these like Silver Age, like Superman drawings. And so we got talking. He was a comic fan. He told me about the about his background with religion. And I remember us painting the floor of the set and throwing around ideas. And we were like, you know, it'd be like a fucking insane idea. And it was like, what? And it was like, well, what if you did the X-Men, but they were all like these atheists who were now empowered with like the
powers.
Wow.
And we were both like, that's a good way to get like excommunicated and have our And so we just started going through, and we then the next couple of days when we paint, we would throw out a saint that we knew something about and go like, what's weird about them? So we'd be like, Saint Sebastian. Well, he's a gay icon, so let's make him gay. He was killed in a hail of arrows, so he's our Hawkeye. He'll just generate all the arrows that he had been killed with, and he'll
nice.
Wow.
It was like very organic, where we would just like come in and throw back and forth like, okay, what is that? And then Ben actually didn't know much about metal, and I was just like, there's got to be metal throughout this entire book.
Right away, it starts with that band. I'm like, yes.
In my mind. So we just kept spinning out, where we'd be like, oh, they're in a band, and St. Blaise is a roadie, and the band will come back for some reason and fight like, you know. So it was just a very nuts book, but it was fun, and it opened, you know, for anybody who's looking at trying to write things, what I do say is I'm like, we made that book, Ben and I, and both of us knew we were following our own passion. We both were like, who the fuck's going to read this and who's going to notice this? But I will say it didn't sell amazingly, but critics went nuts for it, and people who found it really followed it, to the degree that it led to the second book, where Image was even like in conversations with them, and they're like, you know, it didn't do that well, but like, we do think you have a base of people who are going to buy the next book, because they had committed so much to the Saints, which was interesting. Just going like, oh, if I think it's cool, maybe 1 million people won't find it cool, but maybe 10 will. Right. And then maybe the next one, there'll be another 10 and another 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Let me hit another $5 super chat. Venomized Ryan must be drunk because he is just throwing money. At us. Actually, let me
keep pounding them, bro.
Let me have some fun with this. Question for the whole cast: how can listeners help support the show?
Where you want my address?
Let's just do this. This is Venomized Ryan right now live.
Right.
This is what he is doing.
He's just chilling.
Check him out, rocking that ComicCast shirt.
Look at all them pops. He must have some disposable income. Only $5? Come on, bro.
Well, this is it. How can you support the show? You're wearing a ComicCast shirt. You can buy that at bonfire.com/ComicCast podcast. The link is in the description. You are a member of our Patreon, patreon.com/ComicCast pod. That's another
move
way
the
you can
banners so
support
we can
the
see
show.
that shirt. Move the banners.
How many more pops could he have bought with that money?
Yeah, dude.
Shut
up.
up.
There it is.
You know what?
Look at that shirt. Yeah,
Adam's gone. So let's talk some more money here. No, but for real, buy a t-shirt, support us on Patreon. Just be here hanging out with us, man. That's all we want. The rest is icing on the cake. But we appreciate all your support. Picking up the t-shirt, hanging out with us.
Venomized Ryan again. Wow.
Oh my! What
dude!
He's gonna put all of us to college.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like
$20 super chat. And he's throwing that Gaumer emoji out there too, so he's a member of the channel, which you can do for just 99 cents to gain access
Thanks,
to
Ryan.
those
You're the best. You're the best.
Hit the join button below the subscribe button.
He's trying to buy my spot.
He is.
For a $50 super chat, Adam will dump that root beer on his head.
Yeah, right. No, don't do that. This is not Jackass.
No.
You're talking, Sean. You're talking about reading comics back in the day. What'd you read?
This is nice, Gaumer. Thank you for
What'd you come up on?
Rails.
What'd you come up on?
I mean, well, there was anything that I stole from my uncle, which was a lot of DC. He was a big DC fan. The first stuff that I discovered honestly, like, I was addicted to Claremont's X-Men. I was just nonstop for years. I mean, even as other books fell away, like every once in a while, other things would pop up. Like when Image first came out, I bought all of those books. I was really fascinated by what they were doing. I was pretty young. I didn't fully understand what it was. But there was also like, I just remember a lot of those books too. There was a lot of like, there's hot girls and giant guys, and, you know, like on them. Like when I was like in 5th grade, I was like, this is everything I want.
Yeah.
But yeah, Claremont's the one that sticks with me the most. Outside of the stuff I stole from my uncle was a lot of early Vertigo. So, a lot of things like Black Orchid. I think he had Transmet when it wasn't even at Vertigo, when it was at the Sci-Fi label they had before it. Which I just feel lucky. I didn't know at the time. Like, I'd be reading Warren Ellis. Our family's Irish, so there's a British, like, I'm first generation, so there was a heavy like Irish British connection in the house. So like Garth Ennis, Warren Ellis, like Alan Moore, all the 2000, all the AD writers,
nice.
All that shit was in our house all the time. So like I'd be really young flipping through like Halo Jones, so like which I think ended up informing me without realizing it. But yeah, I mean Claremont, that run is just fucking insane. There's an issue I went back to. I read like every year, which is like, it's when Colossus has just broken up with Kitty Pryde, and they bring him out. I think it's like 183. Wolverine brings him out to a bar because he's going to kick his ass, and instead they go Juggernaut. And so Colossus accidentally gets in a fight with Juggernaut, and Wolverine just lets Juggernaut like beat the shit out of him as like a weapon. He's like, I'm not going to help him. He broke Kitty Pryde's heart. Like, I hope Juggernaut kills him.
That's great.
Amazing. There's just like amazing character moments where I'm like, oh, this is like a soap opera.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is a standalone issue. Like, they're not going to see Juggernaut again for like 30 issues. But just to get to the emotional core of like what Colossus has done and how the whole group feels betrayed, not just Kitty. I'm like, this is fucking great writing.
Right. Yeah.
Taking the time and trusting it. And as an audience member, you're like along for the ride, but at the time not even realizing like the real artistry of it. And like he was also setting seeds for a couple of issues to come at the same time. It's just like brilliant.
What about now? Are you reading anything current? What are you into that's coming out now?
I mean, I try and read as much as possible. I'm like much to the chagrin of my wife and our storage. I just read Bad Weekend over the weekend with
Criminal. Ed Brubaker. Yeah.
Right. It's so good.
Dude.
I hung back on it for way too long. I just absolutely loved it. I think I saw Adam had Canopus, like Dave's.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Dave's a buddy, so I had copies of that for a while. I'm just really,
you guys got
we did too. He was on a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, he's awesome.
It's weird. He's from Rochester. I met him through Caitlin. Him and Caitlin are in the same circles because he's a jazz musician.
Mm-hmm.
And Caitlin are bands because she's a violinist.
Oh wow, cool.
Rochester has
so weird.
Rochester has this like really weird art scene where they're these amazing visual artists, and a lot of them are also musicians. Every time I like hang out with her, I'm like, what the fuck is this town? This is just like it's confusing. I get very jealous because I'm like, I'm not moving to Rochester, but I'm dumbfounded by like how exciting the art scene is here. I'm trying to think what else I've been reading. I've been going back and reading a bunch of stuff. Like I have Gaiman's Dollhouse, like the Dollhouse Sandman on the table right now.
Cool.
What else have I been reading this year that I really, really dug? I mean, it's a tough question because I'm like, there's so much, and there's a bunch.
There's a lot of comics right now.
There's also creators that I'm following as much as other people. Like I think like a lot of stuff Lonnie Nadler's doing is really fascinating. I mean, some of the Vault books have been really great. Like I really liked Friendo. I liked the Savage Shores a lot. I've been bouncing around a lot. Those have been a lot of the stuff. Yeah, Bad Weekend though.
It was great.
I just really loved it. I think also as a creator and like when you're going through like submitting to places and dealing with contracts and like signing stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna be fucking Hal Crane.
Right? It's metafiction in the worst way, right?
Yeah. Dude, I love Brubaker so much, and Criminal has been amazing, ever since the get-go, like, forever ago. But this new, arc he's doing is just amazing as well. And it brings back full circle to the characters that are back in issue 1 a long time ago. So it's so great to see those pop up again. And I just love Ed Brubaker so much. It's really cool you're enjoying that. And another one, too, I enjoy a lot. We talk about a lot is Jeff Lemire's Gideon Falls. I think that's a huge highlight for me.
he's what got me back into comics. I've been reading Gideon.
Yeah, nice.
It's I think in some ways I've talked about Lemire on so many other podcasts, and it's such an obvious one to me in terms of my own story that I forget. Because like I fell out of comics around college, and then like a guy I was doing theater with again, like a couple years out of college, was like, "Oh, you like comics?" And I was like, I haven't read them in years. I'm not really into it. And he gave me Essex County.
Oh,
nice.
that's so good.
Nice.
I immediately was like, "Holy shit!" Like it was like I forgot what a comic could be. And then I went out and bought Sweet Tooth immediately and read that. And then I was done. That's when I really started getting back into like at least reading heavily. I mean, he's unreal. He's frustrating because he puts out so many fucking books.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like being a creator. Like, oh, there's fucking Jeff Lemire again. How many books did he write when he just went and took a piss? 5
Dude,
minutes ago?
I was at the shop this week, and Matthew Lane, a supporter of the podcast, he's a Patreon supporter. I always talk to him at the comic shop on Wednesdays, and he came up to me. He's always laughing. He's like, "What's on the pile?" Because I got this huge stack. And I'm like, I just start at the top and just showing him what all I got. And I was like, oh, damn, my first 3 books are Jeff Lemire on my stack. And he's like, how many books does this guy write?
It's amazing.
But there's no drop off.
Yeah, it's all quality.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It is pretty insane the amount that he puts out. I mean, there's some creators that I'll follow, or at least check out anything they do. I'm always amazed that I'm like, he can have 3 or 4 books running.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because like I think of also the diversity, like his Bloodshot run is fucking fantastic. Like, so he'll take a character like that and do amazing stuff. His Animal Man run is great. Like everything he does, Black Hammer's unreal. Like,
oh yeah,
he's got his own universe, his own shared universe. What is going on with this
not
guy?
even just Black Hammer, but every character that he does for Black Hammer is unique and different, and he's untouchable.
He's got this image book called Family Tree. Literally,
Oh,
nothing
so
is
good.
going on. I can't stop reading
Shut
it.
your
It's
mouth.
amazing.
Everything is going on, man. It's characters. It's relationships. It's
so
family.
Good. It's so good.
He's writing stories, and I'm like, yeah, my dad's an asshole, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love
So
it. man.
ridiculous.
I love it.
I mean, he's just fantastic.
Are you going to appear at any cons coming up?
Yeah, it's con season. Good question.
I'm fucking shitty at it, honestly. Cons are a weird experience. I like going as a non-participant. Like I
Like to hang out, like we're doing here,
Right.
like hanging out and bullshitting.
I
Yeah.
will say, like it's weird being. I'm not a great salesman in general. Me and Rylan, you guys know Rylan, so like me and Rylan talk about it because whenever we're at the con together, I think we drive our publishers crazy because we just like together going like, I'll see you guys. I'm
gonna go con. I'm not gonna sit at my table, right?
It's like it can be it's weird because you are there to sell something, but at the same time I don't feel comfortable going like here, read my book.
Yeah,
I'm the greatest writer ever. It's a strange thing.
That's David Pepose, and he's really good at it.
Yeah,
He's
right,
the best salesman.
right.
But he's so good.
He's fantastic at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just don't. I've never had that.
I agree. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Um,
Rylan and Grant and I were hanging out at Baltimore Comic Con, and we're like, "Hey, let's do a little short video." When we went like dollar comic bin diving, and then like picked out what we got, and then showed everyone like live, what we had, what we got, and that was a good time. But that's like us. We just hate sitting still. We hate being like in the same booth for hours. Like, no, let's get out of here.
it's cool. I like doing signings that are set up as signings because they're fans.
Yeah, right.
The hardest thing is like at some some cons will be like, Sean, like early on, people will be like, hey, Sean, we'll give you a table. Do you want to be in the artist alley? And I was like, oh, that'll be awesome. I'll meet fans. And I didn't realize that's not what that is. And so what it would be is like people would come up and they'd be like,
What is this?
what's this book? And I'm like, Saints. And they're like,
New creator, who this? New creator, who this?
like you flip through it and they'd be like, they'd sit there.
Just toss it.
I don't know.
Thanks for creasing my book, man.
Yeah,
He's
no
like
shit.
the rudest people. You just never know what you're gonna get.
I didn't care about the book. I was like, you've literally creased my soul. To have you flip through the book and just
like, nah. On to the next one. On to your neighbor.
You're like, ow, my heart.
Yeah.
The signings themselves can be cool when it's fans. Although, like, I still remember the first signing Ben and I went to for Saints. We hadn't been to a convention, and they sent us to New York to do the initial one. And our signing came around, and like it was wrapped around the Image booth. And me and Ben are looking at each other, and the book had just come out, and we were like, holy shit! Like,
did they spell our name? Did they put another person's name on the?
I missed something that I should have noticed. is that like it was a lot of guys and girls, and the guys were all wearing horns on their heads.
Oh no!
The girls had wings, and I was like,
Oh no!
Vaughn's behind us. On the other side of the booth. So we had this weird moment where people were passing by saying we're scheduled at the same time, and I'm like, hey, do you want me to sign that? And they're just looking at me like, what
Who the hell are you, man?
Are you a security guard? What are you doing here?
Are you Brian Vaughn? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not Brian Vaughn. And they're like, fuck off. Here, I think.
Yeah.
It was a nice vacation. It was very humbling. It was a
since it was
Thanks a lot, Image.
since it was Saints, I mean, maybe you should have been like, well, can I get you a glass of some metal juice?
Right.
Throw holy water in their face.
Man, we told you 30 to 45 minutes. I think we could talk for 2 hours. But
Oh yeah, dude.
in
We
all
didn't even
honesty,
get on Dan Didio yet.
you talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
you talk about not being a salesman and not being able to sell books. You and Rylan just do podcasts, man. When people
Yeah,
see your
man.
all person, the live
Yeah,
chat's
you
been
guys are
going
great.
nuts talking
Yeah.
about the atmosphere in this podcast and the energy and the excitement.
hey, you guys are fun. Anytime you want to do a podcast,
Awesome.
Um,
You
yeah,
got
let
a
us
book
know.
dropping
Like,
in June, so it'll
yeah,
be
when
before
you
the
get-
end of the year.
Yeah,
We'll hit
I
you
was
up.
thinking any number one when you got a number one coming out, let's
Yeah.
do it again. You know.
Definitely.
we're deal. Absolutely.
All right.
A lot of fun.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Just
it.
yell at us. Let us know. Spoiler alert: we have a ComicCast award that is Guest of the Year,
Oh, nice.
and you are at the top of my list right now for Guest of the Year.
It's only
Yeah.
it's only February though, Sean. Don't get you.
I know, yeah.
Well, we've had like 8 guests on at this point.
Yeah, we've been like 8 already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
we do appreciate you coming on. We thank you for your time. Best of luck. Looking forward to those new series coming out. And yeah,
Yeah.
we'll touch base and we'll advertise the hell out of those.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night.
Awesome. you
Thanks,
too.
Sean.
You too.
Steve,
Thank
buddy.
you, Sean.
Take care.
And I am
Great
a bigger
guy, man.
fan. I am a bigger fan of that dude
That's awesome. I love that guy.
than I was just reading his stuff. Yeah,
He's so
he's
crazy.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, what a great guest.
Dude, we could have
Rylan's
talked to
the
him
man.
forever, man. We could have talked to him forever. Yeah, Rylan's the man.
Rylan, he knows who is going to fit in with this podcast.
Yeah.
He's
Is
like,
he our
you guys-
manager now? Is he technically our
He is.
manager?
He's
I
like
think
our
so.
A&R
I
guy.
think so.
Right?
He's like our A&R guy. He sets up all our scheduling.
Oh man.
We need one more member, and we can add an emoji. So if somebody hits join and you sign up, 99 cents a month,
Yeah.
99 cents, I'm going to add a Rylan Grant emoji. That's going to be the
Oh,
next one.
yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Rylan Grant emoji. So if you've not done it yet, join the channel, 99 cents. Hit that join button below subscribe, and we'll do it. We were going to talk about Dan Didio, but I had way more fun talking to Sean. So let's just move on. Let's talk about comic books. Do you guys want
Okay.
the rundown on best Rocky movie votes?
Oh, yeah.
Nah,
Who's
do
winning?
we?
No,
Yes or no?
Let's
I
save it later.
I missed a couple, and I had
It
to go
doesn't-
back and listen to.
it
updated
doesn't matter. The
rules.
first one's the best one.
He's not wrong.
When I'm talking about movies, my favorite happens to be.
He
Well,
gets out his monocle polish.
like it when he hit that Russian. Yeah.
USA! USA! Oh, that's
I like
funny.
it when Polly fucked that robot.
Yeah, Jason has free reign to say all the.
I know,
F-bombs
right? We can say
tonight.
whatever we want.
There is no way this is getting monetized. But shout out to Venomized Ryan.
I don't know
for,
anything about this Cold War. I
paying for our
got my heat pump fixed last year.
Yeah.
Venomized Ryan paid our advertising tonight, so you
It's
can
true.
cuss all you
Thanks,
want.
Ryan.
Sweet.
Thank you.
You better send him that Andre the Giant pop.
That's only the Wrestling Council, bro.
Yeah,
Shut your
dude.
mouth.
You got to get in that chat. I'm in there. I want that damn or Andre Pop.
Gomer says, "Hey,
Gomer says, hey.
let's talk about comic books."
Okay.
All right.
Deceased Unkillables #1.
Ooh, that is me.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm jealous.
written by Tom Taylor. Yeah, it had like a Deadshot going in for a mission, and
No,
everyone's running
no.
away. No, it's not Deadshot. It was Deathstroke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dang, man.
Sorry.
You're not supposed to drink the bong water.
It's just,
It's a little flavor at the bottom, you know,
Oh,
little
yeah.
vitamins. Yeah, and then I
it's
think
the
I have it here,
backwash.
actually. I know I bought some. Yeah, here we go. I got this
Call him
cover.
out, Ryan.
Got the Matina cover.
I got the horror movie variant that is like Wonder
got
Woman,
the-
but the It 2 with the crying tears.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
see
nice.
that. Oh, I wish you had that so I could see it.
What
It's
is
upstairs? Sorry.
what does that cover, Jason? I call that it costs $1 more cover. That's what I call
Yeah.
The
that.
Matina
Dude, that's
cover.
beautiful,
It
though.
Yeah.
It was
You got the
cover
same
price at
sucky
my
cover
shop.
I got, Adam.
It was
Yeah.
cover price at my shop, man.
Yeah, Matina's awesome. I think it was $5.99. Yeah, dude. It's vodka. We know, Jason. Thank you, Will. But yeah, and also, I guess the other main characters is Red Hood. Two separate stories. They kind of meet eventually towards the end. And I guess Deathstroke goes in for a mission, and everyone's running out. A bunch of white nationalists, and he goes in and slaughters them all, which is awesome.
You can say Nazi. We're already demonetized.
Well, I mean, they're not for the conquering of Germany, so they're not really.
I love that they're
Nazi,
in Kentucky, but everybody running from the building has a rebel flag on.
Yeah, they're white supremacists, is what they are.
They were probably, we just have rebel
probably in there watching Rocky. They're probably in there watching Rocky.
USA.
Wow.
I was going to say something, I'm not going to say it, but
why not? What are we going to get demonetized?
I was going to say Deathstroke goes in there and invades a bunch of comic skaters.
Dude, come on, man. Just ride the fence. You're supposed to ride the fence.
Just go Blake.
Man.
I don't endorse that comment.
Just be non-creative.
I know. You know I'm messing. I'm messing.
Individual comments.
It is fun.
Okay,
Okay,
it's funny. All right, I play too much. All right, I play. I kid. Anyways. So then Deathstroke is like, let me call for backup, whatever. He reaches for his phone, not knowing that the Omega virus goes through technology. So he becomes one, but then he blanks out and then wakes up later on because his body heals himself. And he's like, what is going on? And he's like, wakes up in the middle of like the street and bodies everywhere. Yeah. I mean, I think he's naked, but
was he?
No, he wasn't.
In Adam's version, he was naked. He got the super variant.
Wow. Meth stroke, right? That's what happens when you take meth.
Meth stroke.
Oh, wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
He got the death stroke, man. Stroke, man.
What is Adam drinking?
I know.
What is going on?
He's drinking nothing. He's spilling it all over himself.
He's all the root beer. Yeah,
I'm buttoning up. I'm sorry.
And then Red Hood is like, in the Bat Cave, and he finds the dead bodies and he buries them. He gets a Bat Dog, which is awesome. You get to see Ace, the Bat Hound. That was really cool. Yeah. So he's part of the crew now. He's in the Batmobile. They're riding off together. Trying to think what happened towards the end, guys. I'm blanking towards the end.
They were in the car. They picked up Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Orphan.
Yeah. They get Joker and they chain him on the front of the Batmobile.
Dude, why is everybody freaked out? You should probably take the clown off the front of the car, dude.
Yeah.
When they pull into the school.
Yeah, that was great.
I like how Commissioner Gordon referred to him as Robin,
and the look
he gave him like a dirty look.
It was like a ... He Robin.
Yeah, that's so good. This is a great team, man. I'm having a good time with this. It was a lot of fun. The art was fine. It was a good
great
time, man.
I like the art.
It was a great story. He's a great yarn. I'm having fun with this. I'm gonna keep picking it up.
We all love DCeased, right? We all love it. So it's fun to get thrown right back into this world.
You didn't need to read DCeased to enjoy this, though. I didn't think.
No.
This actually makes you want to read DCeased to see what happens to all that other shit.
You don't have
it's a great
to read
commercial.
But when they're talking about anti-life day 1, day 2, and all this stuff, maybe you won't grasp what's really going on. But
there's a zombie apocalypse. The trope is still,
sure.
There.
Jason Todd was my favorite character in the whole book.
Dude, he owned it. There were so many cool apocalypse tropes. The survivor and his dog, like the boy and his dog. That was great. Tying Joker to the Batmobile.
I liked him showing up and having to bury.
Dude, me too. It was a moment. This might be the best Jason Todd has ever been for me. I love it.
Yeah,
I love him in this.
I hate how he's written by Scott Lobdell, and I wish Scott Lobdell would finally just quit. But it's so great seeing Red Hood written by anybody else. He's so much more fun. And I after seeing the Harley Quinn show and the Commissioner Gordon that's portrayed in that show, I was pretending that it was that Commissioner Gordon in this. So he was just kind of run down and downtrodden. But
he had a moment too with Barbara. And, I mean, it still had those moments. Those emotional.
Yeah, man, he kept fighting too. He's like, no, you think something could be off, something's wrong, this isn't accurate. I have to see her. I have to see her.
And that was a throwback to the first miniseries. So, or maybe the one shot.
No, it's 3 issues, dude.
Yeah, this is only 3 issues.
I
meant that part with Barbara. I think, flashed back to moments in that one shot.
I didn't want to like this.
Oh,
and
good.
I ended up liking it.
Great review. That's the best
it
Adam
was-
review.
But you
could
know why?
probably
Because
get.
you really love DCeased, dude. You read it all. That says
Yeah.
everything about it.
It does.
Yeah,
I wish there was DCeased action figures, William Pace. That'd
No,
be
there
awesome.
are. They're on the way.
What?
For the end of the
Oh,
year.
He just
yeah.
said.
Dude, there's so many good.
OT
There's
dub.
so many good action figures coming out, dude.
Dude, Toy Fair yesterday about broke me. My shoulder was hurting. I was doing so much work posting toys, man.
Look at all these Fantastic Four crap back here. That I want to
Dude, they
open.
got
I want to open my figures. Should I do
Yeah,
it?
let them breathe.
no,
Let
don't
'em breathe.
open them, book.
Look,
They
I
got
got
some-
two opposite opinions. Do
They
it.
got
No,
some,
don't do
they
it.
got some dope Ghostbusters figures on the way.
Yes.
Too, man. I hate
And
to
this-
change the subject, but man, they are rad.
Exactly.
I
and
get
the
tired
Batman
'cause-
animated series one's coming out. There's
Well,
also going to be a Deathstroke one, I think.
Yes.
And, yeah, there's a lot.
they come out with Ghostbuster figures, and then they come out with new, better Ghostbusters figures. It's like, why would you buy the Ghostbusters figures? Because they're just going to come out with better ones later on.
I don't know. This plasma series is, and it's a build-a-figure series. You build one of the devil dogs.
There's also like Alien toys coming out. They look awesome from Neko.
Nika or Mezco. One of
Neko.
those two. But
Neko.
you're
The
right.
Devil Dog? You mean Gozer? Is it Gozer?
No, Gozer's an action figure. Is one of the figures, and Dana Barrett. It's a 6-figure set for that Ghostbuster set, and you build one of the demon dog things.
I don't like that. That means you got to open them.
You don't
and
have
everybody-
to open them.
Everybody in the live chat's telling me do not open.
Yeah, don't
Nick.
open your
I
figures.
don't. I would rather just have the figure though. I don't like the random head in the box and a torso in the box.
I like that. Oh,
What's in
you
the
mean
box?
The build-a-figure set.
Yeah.
Big Willie mentioned it earlier. They got this 2020 X-Men Wave 1 that there's a Sugar Man build-a-figure. It's rad. It looks so
Wow,
cool.
I don't need to build a figure, dude. I just want the Fantastic Four family.
That's
Mhm.
what the deceased figures should be. It should just come with like build-a-figure parts, but they're just dismembered parts and don't build anything.
I also saw pictures of a Super Shredder coming out as well as Tokar and Razar or Toka and Razar. Whatever
Oh,
the
yeah,
one
those
from
look-
Ninja Turtles
those
2
look
Secret of the
good.
Ooze movie. Like they look awesome.
They need to
Which is
do because of
crazy.
that Power Rangers. Did anyone read the Power Rangers?
Oh, that's
TMNT?
right.
They're
that'd be-
joining up. They're going to be Ninja Turtle Rangers and
Yeah.
Power Ninjas. It's
Yeah.
rad, dude. It looks
Yeah,
so
it's cool.
cool.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Bang number 1. I didn't read it though.
You didn't read Bang?
You know why I didn't? Because I
You
was
never
reading
read
Sean's
Bang?
stuff, man. I was
Mm.
I was reading all his stuff today.
was
Oh
okay.
my
I
gosh.
liked
Is it
was-
good?
I loved this.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I loved this so
she
much.
bang. She bang.
Come on.
Ricky Martin.
No
All
one
right.
understands your references, man.
I said Ricky Martin.
Sorry.
You
Some people
do.
Jason got it.
I got it.
All right, that's
Jason
all that
understands my
matters.
vague 90s references.
All right, written by Matt Kent, art by Wilfredo Torres and Nayan Kim, and letters by Nate Picos.
Pico Blambot.
So this book, we got Thomas Cord is a secret agent of MI6, which is a British intelligence organization, and they're
Is it
tasked.
X or is I don't know.
I
10?
thought it was X, maybe 10.
Well, MI6 would rhyme with like MI6, so maybe you're right. I don't
Yeah.
know what they were going for there. Sorry.
Well, if they're British, if they're Sir, with like Sir whatever, and you put the X together, then you get Sir Mix a lot. So,
Wicka, what? My posse's on Broadway.
so they're tasked with defeating the Spiring Gold Maze, who believe that the reality around them is fictional, kind of like, I guess, the Matrix. But in this book, we're introduced to Thomas Cord, who is a white misogynistic textbook spy guy, super agent, and but he thinks with the wrong head and gets a bullet in his head for doing that. But then we're introduced to another Thomas Cord, who is a black gentleman, who is on the set on the task of finding to find out the truth of what's going on, and he's got to find Philip Verve, who has this truth, but he writes fictional spy books. So how does this fiction writer have the truth of what's really going on? And also, Thomas Cord can remember fighting Gold Maze from like years before he was even supposedly born. Decades. So I've got a theory on this.
Please.
I'm kind of thinking that they could be in the Matrix, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm
thinking
thinking.
perhaps maybe Thomas Cord is actually a program or a mapped brain of an original Thomas Cord that gets downloaded to different agents.
That's deep, bro.
Is it Matrix in the spy world?
Yeah,
That's what this feels like, yeah.
or maybe the agents are kind of like Agent Smith from the. Remember how in Matrix
He was the virus, yeah.
he could just go into whatever person in the Matrix. So
Yeah.
maybe this is it. So it's
I
an
don't
interesting
know.
story.
Yeah, I don't know if anything that you said makes any sense at all to me about your theory, but it's valid. It's just as valid as mine because, I got no clue what's going on.
Yeah, there's
But
like a typewriter that types out future stories and things that I guess the future of what's going to happen. You know, it's like an Oracle typewriter, and this guy that knows about it somehow and controls it, and he's an agent as well. So, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. I thought it was okay. I'm not going to read issue 2. I really don't care about this world, but
Really?
you loved it. Yeah, so I want to hear
I
why you
love
loved it.
this. It felt to me like it was James Bond meets the Manchurian Candidate with this meta fiction twist. I think this author, and he said it, that he's leaping from different worlds into different, realities, that whatever he's writing becomes one of these realities, and he sort of now has leapt into the reality that is the world that he's writing, but I'm not sure if he's still writing it from the world. Okay. Would it not be the evil James Bond villain's greatest conquest to get the guy who's actually writing his own reality so that they could take over? And I think that's what's happening here. That's my theory. But it was deep, and that metafiction spin at the end, man, it really got me. Great pacing in this throughout. Yeah, dude, I love this. I love everything about it. They set up everything that you needed to know moving forward and then established this cool mystery. I really want to see what's going on. I like
how that back page novella, had it told about the girl, in the red dress that we saw in the beginning. I guess she got killed. she got what was coming to her, and she captured by 3 agents, I think. So it's just, for me, it was hard to follow about like who is in what organization and what each organization stands for, or where they're supposed to come from, and what they're supposed to accomplish or do. It was all just kind of convoluted for me. But it is an interesting world, and you're right. I am intrigued about how things are going to work out, because I really love things that are meta contextual. So it piques my interest, but I don't know if I'm going to read issue 2 right now. There's just so many other better things I want to read.
Fair.
That's it. Ready to move on?
I guess.
Yeah.
We don't have to. We can skip this if you want.
0 for what? 4 or 5 for this?
You're wrong.
You could only be talking about the Plunge.
I'm talking about
I'll get there. I'll get there at the end.
Plunger.
Plunge #1.
That's what I told
because it belongs in the toilet.
Adam, you did not say that. You're like, I'm already there.
I got the Gary Frank cover.
Dude, that shark cover
That's a good cover.
Rad.
That's
That
a great
is
cover.
so
I'm
good.
probably going
That's
to pick all
that's
these
that
Gary
dollar-
Frank covers.
I love it.
Yeah, that's that $1 more cover.
Plunge. Plunger #1. Written by Joe
Dildo
Hill.
#1.
Art by Stuart Eminem. Colors by Dave Stewart. Letters by Deron Bennett. All right, let's get into it. CBR calls Plunge #1 aquatic horror at its finest.
With dildos.
Mm.
There are dildos.
Hey,
a boatload
Jason.
of dildos.
Jason, go ahead and add that at the end to all these. Okay, here we go. Comicbook.com calls it a tempting tease of Lovecraftian terror.
With dildos. Yeah.
Boogie Bentley calls it a waste of time.
With dildos.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Dude.
Adam Wade Adams did the Jaws theme with dildo. Dildo.
That's nice.
Dildo.
Nice.
Dildo. Dildo.
Yeah, it was
I just want to thank Venomized Ryan again for funding this episode.
I mean, this started off well.
Oh, shut up, Gomer. This is a waste of time. It was pages and pages of. I guess it did start off okay.
It
was
did.
so much pointless dialogue.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you just get to the point where they set up the cliffhanger. It's The story is about a survey ship that sank almost 40 years ago, but now the distress beacon has gone off. And it's like Gaumer said, at the beginning, there was some cool stuff because there's all this weird like horror stuff going on. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. These giant squids washing up on the shore.
The bugs like eating each other.
It's like, this is cool. And then it's like talk until we get to the end.
If they'd have broken up that whole scene where they're talking with the scene that they had at the end, just before the cliffhanger, where they're
Does
in the
anybody
boat,
want to guess what happens at the end? Oh, let me guess what happens. A ship sank 40 years ago, and now the distress beacon went off. Do you think maybe we're going to show up and see what happened to the crew at the very end? Just a terrible, terrible book leading up to that.
Yeah. The 10 pages of Talkie Talk, just before that, I was like, all right, this is going places. And then the pages kept going of the Talkie Talk. They told this freaking dildo joke 3 times. It didn't land at all. All 3 times I rolled my eyes like, can we get away from this stupid dildo?
I think that's his way of trying to
give you're trash collectors.
I think that's his way of trying to give the characters personality, but it's like, at first, it was like, okay, well, that's the captain. He's a little quirky. He's a little fun. You got to get some personality with the other characters that are on the boat as well. That's fine. And then they brought up the dildo thing again. I was like, okay, again. I'm like, whatever. And then again, I was like, really? You're really pushing this for no reason.
So stupid.
Oh, my God.
Stupid.
This felt like a script. This felt like a movie script.
Yeah.
For a terrible movie?
Well, no. If it's
Joe
movie,
Hildo,
that discussion that they had wouldn't have been 10 pages. It would have been 3 minutes. And we would have been okay with it.
Yeah, sure.
But that's not how you write a comic. You've got to break up those monotonous 10 pages of dialogue with at least something. Like I said, the pages in the back where they're on the boat just before the cliffhanger, if those pages would have been pages in that 10-page spread that broke up that monotonous conversation about dildos, and we get it. You guys are garbage collectors on the ocean. Get it, okay? You're going to Russia. Ooh, it's dangerous. Shut up and do it. This frustrated me, dude. I was so pissed.
What do you think about the ending, though, with those little animal bug things that are talking?
Says
it's all right if you need to stream Mariah. Yeah, it is too late at that point. But I guess the bugs are sharing a consciousness.
I don't have any more root beer,
because she has a tank full of them, and they're eating each other now in that tank. So I think maybe they share a consciousness.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, wow, Joe Hildo.
Don't get mad at him, Ron. I thought that was one of his finest moments in the history of this podcast.
I'm out of root beer, so I don't have any more root beer.
Let me say this about Hill House Comics, because we have ripped on them pretty hard. Basketful of Heads has gotten better, but like Gaumer said, the first issue sucked. It sucked. It didn't deliver. But Dollhouse Family has been really, really freaking good from start to finish. I've enjoyed it.
I can't believe you stayed on them.
Well, overall, this has been a big failure, man. A big failure.
I mean, we're one of the few, I think, that think like this. There's a lot of people are loving these books for whatever reason. Yeah.
Well, TBR and Comic Book did. You just read their reviews.
That's good. They suck. All they do is suck up to the comic book writers. That's all they do. Go to outrightgeekery.com and get legit reviews, bro.
We crapped all over a book, and I felt bad for publishing the review. I was like, "Oh,
no, you should. You have a responsibility
exactly
as a comic book review channel. You do.
She's right.
Tell the truth.
If we sat here and sucked up to every freaking book we read, then what good are we? We're useless.
We're just parroting what the creators want us to parrot.
It's funny because we don't know what the show is going to think ahead of time. Like we don't be like, oh, what are you guys going to say about this book? It's like, it's a surprise. Like right now.
Sometimes we do give like a brief, like 1 or 2 word overview, just so Boogie doesn't tag the creator if we're going to shit all over it, because he's been bitten the ass before by that.
Yeah.
But sure.
This was bad, dude.
But I love when we don't say anything, like Jason said. Majority of the time, like we talk in the private messages, but we usually don't talk about like the specifics of the books that we're reviewing.
Yeah.
So but I knew you guys were gonna hate this.
This one was a heartbreaker, dude. Because 4 or 5 pages in, I was like, all right, here we go. Finally, a Hill House book that's gonna pay off. And it's an underwater horror. I'm a big fan of the whole underwater horror. The Abyss, Leviathan is another good one. I love that sort of shit. And
dude, those giant squids look awesome. Like, this looks cool. Like, I want to see what's going to happen with these giant squids.
Imminent,
all
killing
the Gary
it on
Frank
the
covers we've been seeing like previews for, like amazing. Like, I'm probably going to still pick up some of these Gary Frank covers, even though I'm not going to read the book. I don't know.
It's worth collecting those covers. They're great. That one you showed is awesome, man.
I put it down. I was like, man, I I wasn't even at the beginning. I wasn't even on the hook, and at the end, I was like, "Oh, imagine that, another one." Oh,
But man, they fleshed out the characters. I really do like all of the characters. You know, all the shit people and the old guy, the captain dude, even Dildo guy was, funny. But eventually, it got old because they just kept talking.
Yeah.
You ready to get into random reviews?
I am.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Random reviews
Spinwiz.
presented by Spinwiz Comics. Check them out at spinwizcomics.com, a distribution platform for indie content. Their goal is to allow readers to discover great content and for publishers to gain awareness and grow a bigger fan base. They're in the process of creating an app and also setting up print on demand. Check them out also on Twitter as well as spinwizcomics.com. Shout out to Jonathan Hedrick that we had on for the Zombie Princess. I just saw that his book is now available on Spinwiz Comics,
Good.
and that's cool, man. That's
Awesome.
cool.
He's
out
hanging
there
out in the
grinding.
chat sometimes.
Yeah. He's dude. It was so cool seeing him at that signing with a ComicCast shirt on.
Nice.
Represent.
We should talk about Batman, I think, first as a collective.
Yeah, that's what the chat
I didn't
wants.
read it, dude. I'm reading that in trade. I'm not gonna buy it.
Damn,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't read this issue. I
It
just
was
saw the
just
cameo at the end. It's
We're gonna
one panel
talk about
cameo.
it. I didn't read it. I know
I'm
Adam
gonna.
didn't read it.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I've been
I read
reading
it. It
but
was
I didn't have
just
time to
okay.
because we had an interview, so I was busy reading all
Why
his.
did-
stuff.
That was my
Yeah.
problem, Jason.
Yeah.
Who was the
blew up 'cause-
cameo at the end?
It's Punchline. It's Joker's news.
Oh.
It's just from here.
yeah.
Oh,
RC.
is that Spec Market book, bro?
Yeah, this is like the Hulk
Is that
180.
Spec Market?
You got it
Hell
for cover price,
Arisen is
bro.
the Hell
Cover
one,
price.
or is the Hulk 180.
They're going to kill off Punchline, and it's not going to mean a
I hope
thing.
not. I like her. I think she looks cool.
Everybody's going to killed off with Generations.
But isn't
Okay.
there? I'm wondering though. Isn't there a character in another comic that's already called Punchline?
No,
I mean,
think
there's
you're
a comic
thinking
called
of, the
Punchline.
Doomsday
Yes.
Clock girl.
No, there's a book
there
called
is a
Punchline,
book
Oh,
called
okay.
Punchline, but I don't think.
and I think that might be the her character's the character's name in the book is Punchline. I
don't
think
know.
maybe.
I don't know.
So, are we going to talk about this since nobody read it? Gomer, just you go.
I
You
read
run
it. It was just
Let's
okay.
hit Gomer's pile and go. Throw it on the top.
It was just okay. James Tinney the Fourth is it Guillaume March did the art. I don't have anything written down for it. Again, it was just okay. It was another Batman book.
So, do you want me to go first? I can go first.
Family Tree #4, Jeff Lemire, Phil Hester.
Take my book. Go ahead.
If we're just going to move on. This
Yeah.
issue had an action sequence that should win awards. I was on the edge of my freaking seat, dude, with Jeff Lemire's pacing and Phil Hester doing these panels. It was amazing. I finally something happened.
So
But
funny.
really nothing happened. It was just like they went from A to B, but they went from A to B dodging bullets and just these character moments. Man, this book is so damn good, and it should not be this good.
I love that my notes say, I know Gomer was all about the action and claiming something finally happened.
Nice, thanks, bro.
Because I'm digging the story,
That's
man.
awesome.
Especially this issue with the grandfather.
What is the story?
But
Dad was a tree and now daughter's a tree. That's it.
sure, but there's
But it's
no
4 issues.
No, there's so much more to it than that. You know, the fact that
World.
the grandfather is carrying his son as part of his body was so big in this issue for me. And the fact that the son is like whispering to the father, telling his dad, dude, you disappointed me my entire freaking life. Gomer, I think I don't want to get too personal, but I think you and I may have a similar story with our dad.
Sure.
It's like you want to be my pal, not my dad.
Yeah.
And so it's like the son is sitting there going, dude, you have done nothing but disappoint me my whole life. And now my family's on the line. Get up off your ass and go do something.
I think my thing with it is Lemire's character writing is always on point like that. And you're right. It's on
Sure.
point. It's wonderful. But I wasn't expecting the action sequence that he put in this.
When
as good
there's
as
that
it was.
father-son relationship
right.
like that, and the son's never even been in the freaking book.
Yeah.
It's nothing but whispers but I
Well, he
love it,
was
man.
in that one little sequence when he's taking the daughter to the tree
Yeah.
inside the tree, which
Yeah.
is another just
That's-
weird. What the hell's going on?
Can you imagine if Andrea Sorrentino had drawn that?
I want Andrea Sorrentino to draw my life.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we want to talk about Killer Smile. I haven't even read it yet. I haven't read
Oh,
it.
dude.
I've not-
It
I've
was
not read it
good.
either.
It was a
I love that cover.
fine, reasonable ending, but I think as far as the whole entire series goes, the issues 1 and 2 were the best. But it does wrap up fine.
Cool.
It still leaves a lot of questions. I wish you guys read it so we can talk about it like a little more in depth.
Oh, sorry.
Because I do have some things I want to talk about it. But that's all I read. Besides, that book of the
Canopus.
week.
We all read Canopus, and we can finally
Yep.
spoil it and talk about it with spoilers this week. Dave
That's when I say I
Chisholm,
picked up this one. Then real quick.
Flash forward number 6.
Wait, did you dig that, Jason?
It was okay.
I didn't like any of this, but I want to know what's going to happen.
Did
with
it
the
bring
continuity.
anything out of Heroes in Crisis?
I
at all?
didn't get to read this.
No.
This is what's happening at the end of Heroes in Crisis.
But
You know,
So
I
the
didn't
series didn't
feel-
do anything.
I
so
didn't
far it
feel-
has
it brought
the
his kids
Fusionaut.
back.
Right now it has the Fusionaut, which is a Dan DiDio character from Sideways, who is kind of like
fucking not.
yeah, the fucking out. He's kind of like the Watcher, and he is controlling. I guess watches the dark multiverse and doesn't just try to prohibit the dark multiverse coming into the real universe. Anyway, she recruits
Even
Wally
though
West
that's
to help
already
save the
happened
whole
with
entire
Batman
world.
Glass.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's trying to recruits the Flash to become the savior of the universe. And apparently at the end of this, after he gets on the Mobius chair, because most people die when they sit on the Mobius chair, he's able to control it and knows everything. And he gets the Dr. Manhattan circle on his forehead and takes people in and out of continuity. And apparently it happens in this issue, which I didn't get to read yet. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen.
I wish they would have doubled down
I
and made
read
him
it.
the villain and killed everybody.
Did you read
That's
it?
what I wanted.
Nothing happens.
He took his kids. He brought his kids back.
Oh, cool. They're back in
Not only
continuity.
did he bring them back from whatever multiverse he was hanging out in, he brought
That's
them
called
and
fan
took them to the Prime universe, to the
fan
DC
service.
Zero universe.
Double down.
Damn right, it's fan
Story.
service.
Double
You
down
know
on
they're
the
just going to
story
murder him
and
again.
Be a freaking villain and kill everybody, Wally West. That's what
They're
I want you to do.
They're either going to just murder him again, or this is a setup to make Wally's kids part of the younger heroes that are going to take
Good
over
call.
after 5G or generation.
I mean, Captain
whatever
Cold's
you
son
call
is
it.
supposed to take over, be the new Flash, but I guess these guys can be his sidekicks or something.
Who knows what's going to
Yeah.
happen, dude? There's no.
I also picked up a Jeff Lemire Skulldigger Skeleton Boy
It was
Great
rad
newest
too.
issue.
It was good too.
Didn't get to read that. Excited.
Oh, you didn't read that? I will
No,
not
no.
spoil the cliffhanger in that one.
Thank you.
It was good. It was very worth reading.
Great.
We don't-
When
we
I
don't
first started it, I thought, this is going to be a down issue.
It
And then I
was.
read it, and I was
Oh,
like,
it ended
This is
great.
So good. Yeah,
It
great
ended
issue.
so well. Canopus, are we going to talk about how weird
Yes.
and awesome and
Go for it.
sci-fi
Canopus is
Canopus
amazing.
is? Oh my goodness. It's just about this woman who's like crash landed and her AI is with her and she's trying to fix her plane or her rocket ship, whatever the hell it is. But she keeps flashing back to the past. And when she does it, the comic like changes, the colors, the designs. I won't say the pencils change, but there's definitely a deliberate motif change to everything. And it's very well done. And through her adventure on this planet, she keeps discovering things about her past keep coming up. It feels personal, like the writer is writing a love letter, like an autobiography almost disguised as this science fiction off the wall comic book that feels like half Lost, half Star Trek, dude. It's brilliant. It's so good.
It's good. And just like I believe, who was it? I think it was Drew who stopped reading, but when we had the review copies, I stopped reading it. And so I'm going to finish this out and I'm pulling all the issues. So I'm going to finish it out.
I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to do.
I'm gonna pick up every single issue. I'm gonna order all of them.
yes.
So good. It's cool because like everything seems really weird in that comic, but everything gets explained. So you're totally satisfied as a reader.
Mastodon says, "Wait, what's it called?" Canopus.
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 What did Dave call it? He was. I don't even think he knew how to pronounce it.
He didn't even say. He was just like, whatever.
Mastodon,
if
you
you
missed
saying
it.
Canopus.
Man in the moon.
Man in
Look
the
at
moon.
that.
Mastodon,
Like,
if you missed it, go back and listen to the interview with Dave Chisholm.
He's
A
saying,
couple episodes ago, yeah.
He's saying, I know you're going to buy it. Buy it. I know you are.
I got to jump in and take
Canopus.
control here so I can talk about my books. Venom number 23.
I did not read Venom
The
yet.
best issue of Venom Island so far. Eddie's off the island, but his symbiote was left behind in a huge explosion, courtesy
Got
of
voted
Captain America.
Thanks a lot, Cat.
They're doing some really cool stuff with Dylan that I dig, and I don't even really like Venom, but Donny Cates, man, Donny Cates, y'all. Like I said, the first two issues were slow. This one delivered for me, so I liked it.
Nice.
And the last thing I'll say is,
Wait, is that how the issue ended?
Yeah, with the explosion, the island was
I did
exploding.
read that then.
The symbiote was left behind on the island. Eddie was waking
Eddie's
up.
like, oh no!
Yeah, I
my
read
God."
that
He was
too.
waking
Yeah.
up, and Captain America's like,
That wasn't.
"Oh yeah,
Was that wasn't
sorry."
this
I think
week,
that was
man.
last week, right?
No,
Yeah.
it came out maybe even 2 weeks ago. I just
Yeah,
read
it was
it
good.
this week.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, that was
great
good.
issue. Doctor
Wait,
I'm just glad
Tomorrow.
it's over. I'm
Yeah,
glad he's off the island. So
Yeah, how was that new
Oh wait,
Valiant
but no,
stuff?
is that it? Is that the full arc? Was just 3
No,
issues?
I
no.
think so. He's off the
I don't
I thought
island.
it was
Right?
5.
I don't think it's the end of the Venom Island arc. I
Nah,
think
jeez,
there's
he's
another
going
2
back to the
issues.
island.
Yeah.
William Pace, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Can I talk about Kylo Ren? Gomer, let me
I
finish.
did not read Kylo Ren.
I read the first 3 issues of The Rise of Kylo Ren, and obviously it's going through the transformation, Ben Solo to Kylo Ren. Charles Soule, who I think he really grasps, the Star Wars universe, and I really liked the first issue. It was after the whole thing with Luke and Ben Solo, you know, that you saw in the movies. And then the second issue is like this relationship between Ben and Snoke. Do we even know who Snoke is? Like, I don't think
so.
They've never really
There's
done a
no
good
answers.
job.
Even in the Snoke Solo issue, the one-off, there was no answer.
He's a test tube,
There's
baby.
not a
It's a Kylo Ren issue
satisfying
again.
answer either.
Yeah.
See, I was hoping for that, but it's like, no, it's like all of a sudden Ben Solo knows who Snoke is. And I'm like, I don't even know who he is, but
But I think Snoke's a clone or a clone-made figure, because we saw some Snoke-looking characters in those tanks back in the
He's a test tube,
little
baby.
cave. He looks like a test tube character. So I mean, they never explained it, but you saw
they didn't do a
like
good
bodies
job.
in the test
They
tube.
didn't do they need to do a better job explaining that. But issue 2 had a great flashback with the Knights of Ren, and then issue 3 is more about what Solo has to do to become one of the Knights of Ren. Good story, good art. If you dig Star Wars, if you dig the new Star Wars, which I know people love to hate it, but I'm enjoying this, man.
Yeah,
Even
comics have been good.
the comics from the new stuff have been great.
Yeah, this is. I would say this may be one of my favorites from the new characters. It's really good, really good.
To become a Knight of Ren, you must defeat Stimpy.
No, to become a Knight of Ren, you
say
have to kill, but it has to be a meaningful kill. So you can't just kill an enemy; you got to kill somebody that's close to you. So Ben Solo is trying to sell himself for killing some of the people that he trained with. And it's like, yeah, but did you really care about those people? But it's this constant. It's the Ben Solo story is cool, man, because he's a good dude, but he's a bad dude. You know what I mean? It's a good story. It's a good story.
That kind of sounds like the what was the stone that Thanos threw?
Right. It's like if I threw Adam off the cliff, they would be like, that's not good enough. You don't really care.
Yeah. They probably just look at it like, yeah, I agree. Screw that guy.
What else? Anybody else got anything?
Dr. Tomorrow, #1 over at Valiant, Alejandro Albarno and Jim Toe, is a fantastic superhero sci-fi debut issue. A bit too fast-paced in areas, buried in tropes, but very entertaining. That's all
Did you read the Zero, the Bloodshot?
I did not read that. No.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
No.
Okay. Okie
Just
dokie.
Doc Tomorrow. It was cool.
That's it. Ready to move on? Adam, you got anything? Did you read anything?
Do it.
Just what was assigned, teacher Boogie.
I appreciate you for doing your homework. I didn't even do the homework.
Boogie didn't even read everything assigned.
I never do the homework anymore. I just read what I want to read.
No shit.
Let's move on. Let's get into the outright geekery. Book of the week. OutrightGeekery.com, your one-stop shop for news, reviews, previews, podcasts, everything geek at your fingertips. Tons of great podcasts, Geek Savs, Comic Book Bullies. That's the only one I ever mentioned.
I know.
Welcome back to the Comic Book Bullies. I'm Boy Leroy with AKA Black Man Superman.
Black Superman.
Outright
I'm Adam Wade Adams, aka Stick It from Root Beer.
Everybody's dropping those sweet Wolverine emojis in the live chat. We appreciate that. You know what? If Gaumer would subscribe to the channel, we could add that Ryland Grant emoji.
Oh, do I have to pay money now to do the show?
He's the only host that won't subscribe to the channel. But drop those sweet.
I'm not really. The show's just okay.
Wolverine emojis. Whatever.
Wolverine #1.
I don't care, Gaumer.
Dawn of X. This is actually volume 7 of Wolverine. Believe
you know
it or
what just
not.
hit me? This is so random.
Last
Diarrhea.
I counted.
Look at all this great artwork.
You didn't show any of it. What the hell?
I didn't show any of it.
It was
man.
so good. That would have been great when I
Terrible.
asked my initial question about the art. Anyway,
Yeah,
30
I'm sorry.
variant covers for this at last count.
I can show mine off too, Adam.
I got that
No,
one. Too.
I'm just
Thanks
making.
to-
I
Make your
look like the
sentinel head.
Sentinel.
Thanks to the dude at my comic shop for giving that up after I requested it, but it was not in my box. It was just laying out. He grabbed it and I bitched. And he was like, "Oh, here you go, man."
Is your
And
name
And I was
Karen?
like, "Oh, you don't have to do that." As I'm like grabbing it from his hand, you know.
Karen.
60
Karen
pages
Gaumer.
or so for 80 or $88. Benjamin Percy and Adam Kubert. Frank Martin did colors. Corey Pettit did the letters. Oh, still want to call out designs by Tom Muller. The second half of this, which is a big bitch I had about this, a big gripe. Victor Bogdanovich and Matthew Wilson. Percy's writing the X-Force book, which is arguably the best of the X-Men Dawn of X stuff. So that's good. Dude, I've got like 4 paragraphs, and then I've got a short paragraph. This is really not an exercised issue. This is two issues in one.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
I don't like that. Issue
For me, I
one
thought it was
follows.
well worth the money. Like, I thought it was worth every dollar. I have
You're wrong.
very little complaints about the price.
Issue one follows Wolverine, leader of X-Force, the Krakoan CIA, and United States CIA agent Jeff Bannister as they investigate Krakoan flowers stolen to make illegal drugs. They eventually meet up at the end. The second half involves vampires and appears to be setting up a mutants versus vampires sort of thing. That's in a nutshell this damn $8 monstrosity of a book.
Yeah.
It's full of Wolverine tropes. It's rehashing the same old Dawn of X shit that we've seen. Oh, I hate these villains coming here, but the villains are welcome. Oh, Wolverine's doesn't know where the hell he is and doesn't know what he did, but he murdered all of his friends, and neither do we. So what the hell? Great art. The writing meandered. Even in the first half, the first issue, it kept flashing back 5 days ago, 4 days ago. But not only that, it kept flashing to different things that were going on. Wolverine in the future, Wolverine in the past, and then this other dude in the future in the past. It was all over the place. The second half of this was a whole lot better to me. The vampire shit.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, but it also altogether felt disjointed and was not at all what I was expecting from this issue. This felt like it was thrown together. Like, hey, Dawn of X is great. People love Wolverine. Have the Sean's already ruined it for us. Fuck it. Throw the fucking X-Force writer on a Wolverine book so we can give fans an $8 60-page book. Screw you, Marvel. This is $1.99 for me. I hated it.
Oh wow!
I hated it. The art was wonderful.
I'm so
I
shocked.
hated it. I was pissed.
I don't even
Wow,
know
that's
what
crazy.
to say.
I was on
Yeah.
fire reading this, dude. I was so
I can't believe you like.
I read it twice to make sure I wasn't dumb, but yeah.
I read it
Hey,
twice
what'd you
also,
take?
yeah.
Did it take 2 days to do that?
Yeah, right. I read it on the shitter the first time, so I was like, well, maybe it's just
Did your,
You know,
your legs
mindset.
had to go numb. Your legs were numb.
yeah, I mean, I was there for a while.
You
dude.
couldn't
Dry
walk.
poop.
You needed crutches.
Didn't have to
get up.
wipe anymore. It was just dry.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow.
I'm a
It's like-
conservationist.
Gummer was like, I thought I was taking a dump in the toilet, but I'm holding a dump here in my hands.
I was, dude. I was pissed.
You pissed off Venomized Ryan, that's for sure.
Down.
I didn't. I
Sorry.
went through this, and I was
Sorry,
like,
Ryan.
the whole vampire thing. I was thinking, we've already been here.
Yeah,
Granted,
with the
it was-
Avengers. Yeah.
granted,
So-
Yeah.
well, not even that, but with I mean, in the
Wolverine
past,
Jubilee had-
with
Jubilee
Storm,
had
with-
a thing going on.
yeah. I mean, we've been here. We've been here
Yeah.
with vampires. Why must we be going? I was like that whole thing. I just didn't care. I
I'm
did
hoping
not
it's going to
care.
lead to a combination or war with the Avengers, or team up with the Avengers against
That's
the
over
vampires.
now, though. That's
No,
pretty
it's still
much
going.
over.
No, it's supposed to come up. Yeah. I mean, we had that
okay.
previously happen in Jason Aaron's
Yeah.
Avengers, but they said later on they're going to fight Dracula and vampires again because we got to finish that storyline. Same thing. We got to finish against those, heroes that are from Coulson, those fake bad guy heroes, whatever that Agent Coulson made up. They have to fight those guys eventually later too. It's just
Well,
always like loose ends they got to tie up. So why
Squadron
not combine it with
Supreme.
Wolverine and make a team up or something against vampires? Like get it over with. That's fine. But that's if it happens. If not, then we're just kind of meandering the same crap over and over again. And we've seen these stories before. We've seen Wolverine get amnesia, not know what's going on, and then we've
that's,
seen
that's
him.
the biggest
Yeah, it's the
Wolverine
same stuff
trope.
over and over again. Yeah,
Biggest
but I'm fine
Wolverine
with that. I mean, I'm looking forward to. I thought the Colt stuff was cool in issue 1. I prefer seeing Colt weird stuff over vampires. So that was fun for me. And then
Here's
both stories kind of culminate, and they're gonna go and meet up with each other in the end. So I'm looking forward to both storylines to eventually have that happen.
Here's
But,
where I think
it's fine. I
Right.
liked it. I liked it just fine.
Well, here's what I think the biggest problem with this book is. Me, someone who is not reading the other X books, someone who just hasn't been keeping up with it, I have no idea what is going on with this is Wolverine #1. It should be setting
They tried to
where
do
this is going, and
Yeah.
I did not get at the end. I'm like, well, what the hell is he doing? Is he fighting vampires? Is he
Right.
That's
figuring out
another
where he
reason-
killed everyone?
that's another
what the
reason
hell is he doing?
Yeah, that's another reason. As part of my review, I said it meandered. This felt like it was just something to give to people who are reading all of the X books. If I was not reading all the X books, I would have no idea what Wolverine's new status quo is. All of that shit at the beginning with the hide and seek, I have no idea how that fits into everything. Also, as an avid reader of the Dawn of X shit, I know that it means nothing that X-Force is dead. It means nothing that Jean Grey and Kid Omega are dead. It means nothing.
I mean,
And that was the beginning to kind of go,
exactly.
make you go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And I saw it. I was like, well, nobody dies.
I mean, we already saw Kid Omega die in Marauders. He got his head cut off. So it was really weird for me to see him again so soon. Yeah. Except that this whole entire process of resurrection took forever. You know, I thought it took a while. So I was like, all right, well,
they could do it in like 20 minutes.
I guess so. I mean,
William Pace, I agree.
But for me, all of this said,
it is.
All of this said, if this had just been the first story, there's a lot going on. There is so much going on. It's an X-Men story.
Two separate stories, yeah.
It's like a CSI episode. There's cults. And I'm with Jason, dude. I love the cult stuff. I loved everything in this first issue. The Jeff Bannister and his sick daughter that needs the antibody. I loved all that.
I like how they connected him to the flowers that way.
Yeah, and it's like real life kind of.
Jeff Bannister was cool. He's like a Stranger Things sheriff kind of character.
A big Lebowski. I thought he was a Lebowski kind of character.
Okay, so let's say this. Let's look at this. If it was just that first half, $3.99.
I would definitely bump it up to $2.99, but that doesn't take away from everything I said about that first issue meandering. It started off 5 days in the future, then they go back 5 days in the past. I had a problem with that pacing.
I thought it was well done. I was never lost or confused.
I liked hearing Wolverine's thought process while he's on Krakoa during those early days. That was nice to get that kind of flashback of how he thought things, where he's like, oh yeah, there's Apocalypse over there. I used to would want to shred his face when I saw him right away. Cool. And his acclimation to this new lifestyle, I thought that was really cool. It was great having that mindset. I thought that was there for a reason.
Even in the second book with the vampires, the back and forth he has with Omega Red, that's cool because they have a deep history. Omega Red stabbing him in the back for the vampires.
I love Omega Red. Yeah, I love seeing
Me too, dude. That's compelling. But why in France? Omega Red is historically a Russian character, but Russia's in the first chapter, not the second. And the dialogue that he had with Magneto is wonderful. That's great. But I guess
Omega Red's a heel working with the vampires,
dude. There's no hook here.
Dracula. And so I think that whole entire Russia Omega Red thing is going to come in culmination with the vampires, and it's both stories are going to eventually meet up. And
it should have done it in this issue. It should have done it in this.
Could it that fast? Because my question is, what is the second issue going to be? Because this was $8, $8, and it was so thick. And it's like, how are they good? What are they going to do in the second issue?
I think second issue is either going to be a continuation of both stories again, or
it's going to be so
or the
thin,
other,
though.
one or the other. Yeah. So
I think they got to go one or the other. If they try to do both, it's going to be
too much.
Yeah, there's too much here. There's way too much here.
Way too much here, dude.
I don't know what is in like Gaumer. I thought they would hook me. Like I've loved X-Force and I've loved X-Men. I'm going to
read issue 2 for sure.
I'm going to read issue 2.
I'm reading all the Dawn of X. I don't care if it sucks or not. I read all Fallen Angels.
Right.
That book was awful, and it's one
of
my favorite writers.
They're okay back to back.
And artists.
Yeah. No, I'm not reading bullcrap just because. And
I'm reading Wolverine because I've always read Wolverine. I've got every issue of Wolverine. I think volume 3 and above. I have all of it. Even Wolverine and the X-Men. I have that. When he had the Jean Grey school. I love the character, but this was subpar, dude. Subpar.
I don't know how to rate it because I absolutely loved the first story, and I felt like the second story was like overkill. But I still give it a $2.99 because I loved that first story so much.
I'm teetering. I want to give it a $2.99, but I can't, dude, because of the things I said.
And not one dildo.
Yeah, there's no dildos in this. Like Plunge.
I'll say this: I'll give it $1.99 because in my opinion, it failed. This thing, one.
This is a guy that they should have tried to hook.
Yeah,
that's not reading any of it.
That's right.
Yeah, and they failed.
Right.
Yep. So
again, I think this was just a gift, quote unquote, a gift, a money grab for everybody like the dumbass that is me reading everything Dawn of X. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, Wolverine sells out of fucking Wolverine.
Even the Marauder stuff. The Marauder stuff. I only know because you guys tell me that.
Yeah,
it's good.
I love Duggan. I wouldn't say I love Marauders or even like it necessarily. I love Duggan. He's fun. He makes I like his humorous stuff and his action is great.
Yeah.
He's a great writer. But with Marauders, like the whole entire I don't care about any of the characters in the world that's happening with the whole entire pirate thing. And it's kind of dumb. I'm not digging Marauders very much. My favorite is probably
Bishop, man.
Yeah, X-Force is probably the best.
He's on it. No, he's on Marauders too.
Yeah, I think he's on there.
Who's writing X-Force? Benjamin.
This guy,
Percy,
Benjamin
yeah.
Percy. This guy, and he's killing it. He's killing it
Yeah.
over there.
Oh, it's great. It's my favorite. But
That's
I
what
like
I'm
it more than
saying. Everybody,
X-Men.
I think the editors at Marvel were just like, "Oh man, X-Force is everyone's raving
Selling the
about it.
best, and yeah.
Let's do another book. He's knee deep in Dawn of X. Let's just give him
Mhm.
Wolverine. He can extend it. It's easy for him." I don't know. Sorry, William, Big Willie.
Adam, what
Are
do you
you
rate
reading
it?
Excalibur?
No.
Jason? Are you reading Excalibur?
I have 1 or 2 issues to catch
It
up on all of
set
them right
up
now.
a perfect status quo for Otherworld and
Mm.
at Camelot. You know, making the
Yeah.
other brother the king of Camelot.
I've never been a huge, Excalibur fan. I like
neither.
magic and things like that, but I don't really
Sure.
like the British version of magic. It's just kind
Yeah.
of always
No,
boring.
I'm with you. I'm
But,
with you.
I mean, it's okay.
That's called
Bring,
Harry
you know, this-
Potter, sir.
Yeah, Merlin, all that stuff. Yeah, it's
No
much.
shit.
I'd rather
British
see it
magic
in
is
Once
Harry
and Future
Potter.
than
Damn,
X-Men,
Venomized
you know?
Ryan bought 17 variant covers for Wolverine.
That's
number
amazing.
1. Dude, that's a whole lot of money.
Are you specking? You specking on that, Ryan?
Specking it.
Let me tell you this right now, Jorge Burgos. You've been hanging around our Twitter for a long time, and I know I'm giving away a #1 issue of Wolverine. If somebody retweeted the Periscope link, shoot me a DM. I'll give you that code because I know you retweeted.
Aw,
When
nice.
you're
Very
hanging
nice.
out, you're hanging out here in the live chat. Shoot me a DM. If you didn't get the one I dropped in the chat earlier, yeah, send me a DM and I'll give you that because I appreciate
Nice.
you being in the chat, being active. One time somebody came at us saying, Chad Johnson sure does win a lot of books. Yeah, no shit. You know why? Because
He
he's
hangs
here
out.
every single week.
He's paying
Yeah.
So I'm
attention.
going to show favor to you. So I appreciate you being here, Jorge. So shoot me a DM and I'll
Yeah,
make
and
sure
it
you get
sucks that
Wolverine.
you can't get a book, Jorge. I wish you could get one, man.
Yeah.
We can help you read a book, even if it's Wolverine. I mean, it
We'll-
wasn't trash. It was
We'll
just
get
not
you.
what I
We'll
was
get you a
expecting.
link, Jorge, because I definitely don't want you buying it.
Yeah, there you go. Unless you're going to spec the
I've
variant.
got one
cover.
more. I've got one more code left, so I'll make sure.
I don't
send it.
remember what I rated it on the Drew Manchu Cantu review crew. I want to say I probably give it a $3.99.
That's
you know,
fair,
after
man.
November said maybe I'd probably give it a $2.99 because it does meander a little too much and it is repetitive. You kind of get the same story twice in a different way.
I liked it when they put the spigot in his neck.
Yo, that was brutal.
That was rad, dude.
Yeah.
But then he got out with no problem. It's like,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and
He
they
just
mentioned his berserker rage. There's this animal in a cage, and sometimes I open the cage. Again, great writing, but it just didn't
That
earn it.
kind of sounds
think I
like
gave
over the
$2.99.
top with Stallone. Sometimes I turn my head around back.
It's like the switch when I
It's like
like
a
a truck.
switch.
I'm like a truck.
Adam, did you ever rate this?
He did.
He did.
Yeah. I said
I was the only one
$1.99.
that did not.
Oh,
What'd you
yeah,
rate it, Book?
$2.99.
There you go. We're a little bit all over the place with this one.
Yeah.
Jason really wanted to give it $3.99.
I
He
did.
did on the Cantu Manchu review crew.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. We're all
Go
over.
check out that video. They go really in depth, way more than we did. Go check it out. It's on
I
the
love
S&B
how they
Network.
do it too, with Drew giving like the whole backstory, like what's going on,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then they talk
bust
about it.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really,
They kind of catch you up on what's happening, give you the synopsis
Yeah.
of the
Be
story.
awesome.
you
and
if they
guys, you
showed
guys
up
put a
every
little
week.
marker. You guys should put a little marker in there
Timp.
for when you guys start talking about it. So if I did read it, I can skip all that. Not that I want to. Drew's
No,
voice
you're
is like silky satin.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Silky
Gomer listens to go to bed.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
Baby.
ASRM of Drew.
X
You're going to sleep,
#1.
Gomer. You're going
This
to
is-
sleep.
This is
Drew
Drew
Manchu.
Manchu.
Why don't you talk like
Baby.
that all the time, Adam?
He doesn't
Wow.
want to throw. He doesn't want to throw us out.
Welcome to
There's no way we could
ComicCast.
replace him if he talked like that.
In
all
a
the time.
world
In a
where
world.
Adam actually reads comic books.
Yeah, right.
The
You
dark
know-
multiverse.
Next
You
week,
dumping root beer on your face is going to be in the intro soon.
I love
In
it.
a world where Adam drowns in root beer.
I should just do a homage to Flashdance and just do the root beer.
If you guys can do this in 2 minutes or less, new comic
can.
book day. What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to?
I got
Oh,
it.
already.
Death or Glory #9. Remender
Nice.
Bengal. What?
I'm 2 issues behind. I got to read it.
Oh, you got to catch up, bro. It's so good. TMNT Janika #1. Bram Revels doing the art and the art and the writing for that. My New Year's resolution was to read more TMNT. I am sticking to it. Last God #5. Philip Kennedy Johnson, Riccardo Federici. It's confirmed we are getting volume 2 of that. So there's a whole lot more I'm looking for.
Hey, let me hit the live chat real quick.
Do it.
And then
Figure it
I'll
out.
get your all's opinion.
Do it.
We're going to do a book of the week poll. It's on you got to be on Patreon. Patreon.com/ComicCastPod. You can vote on the Outright Geekery book of the week. Right now, the 4 choices are tomorrow, number 1, Dark Horse Comics, Leviathan Dawn, DC Comics,
Don't vote for that.
Please don't vote
Falcon-
for Leviathan.
Falcon
Damn it.
and Winter Soldier number 1 from Marvel, and
Yeah, I'm on the fence
Fantastic
for that.
Four Grim Noir number 1. Right now, tomorrow number 1 and Fantastic Four Grim Noir number 1 are tied. So let me see it in the live chat. What do you guys want on that book of the week?
Tomorrow,
Dude,
number 1.
Tomorrow number 1?
That means-
That
Okay.
Batman cover's so sick. Coming
Who
out
voted
for,
on Grim Noir with me? Was it you, Jason?
yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. It's tied right now. So tomorrow number 1, Fantastic Four Grim Noir number 1. What do you guys want? Jason, what are you excited about?
I'm just looking at it right now, so I can't tell you. I'm sorry.
I'm looking forward to Finger Guns. I'm pulling
Oh,
that.
it's gonna be cool.
And
that should be on this damn list.
yeah, and
Sure
Ice
that-
Cream Man number 18 is
Looks good.
dropping.
Nice.
So I'm looking
Good
forward to
choices,
that.
Adam. Excellent choices. Hey, I've got that Finger Guns. If I'll get it to you.
That Curse of the White Knight. Number
Venomized
7.
Ryan says Boogie and
I'm-
Jason, we good.
I'm making sure.
Adam and Gomer, dead to me.
Whatever.
I made sure that my comic
Whatever.
shop was pulling it. I'm
Finger
getting
guns.
that wraparound cover.
Hey, Willie Pace, in no way, shape, or form do I expect you to do. I don't want you to do anything except for hang out and chat. That's it. We don't expect anything from you guys.
Yeah, we ask, but there's no quid pro quo or anything like that. We love you
Venomized
guys.
Ryan says, any reason I'm not seeing those on Patreon, Boogie? Yeah, because everybody that is backing that tier is in the private Facebook group. So I'm just posting it on Facebook right now. If something happens and somebody comes in and they're not on Facebook, then I'll post it on Patreon. So everybody that's a backer at that tier is available to vote in the Facebook group. So that's where you can find it right now.
We have fun in that Facebook group.
We do.
We got to do way better.
We don't really.
I want to pick up Shazam, number 11.
Oh, that's
That's a-
almost done.
I'm-
That's the penultimate issue.
I'm digging that, man.
Jeff John should be the new publisher.
He really
should.
should, man. Yeah.
He should. What is Jim Lee gonna do? Just sit there until
I
somebody
don't know.
replaces him?
I don't know. I'm drawing covers right now. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I have
Knows,
no idea.
knows.
Put out more Funko Pops.
Right.
X-Men number
listen-
7, X-Force number 8.
Yeah, X-Men Fantastic Four number 2, I think, as well.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yes,
Lots
sir.
of
I'm
Dawn
stoked
of
for
X.
that, dude.
Lots of Dawn
Avengers of
X.
the Wastelands number 2. I'm excited. I know you guys
Nice.
aren't.
Yeah, I want to keep reading that. I like
I'm
that.
excited for it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'll read that.
I'm off that book.
Cool.
Mm.
That's it. Let's wrap this thing
Yeah.
up. Let's get
Yeah.
out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Venomized Ryan, for all the financial
Yes,
support.
thank you,
You're
Ryan.
amazing, dude.
Yep,
but
thank
but
you.
anybody else, if you guys want to know how do you support this podcast, just show up. Just hang out in the live chat. If you got a few bucks and want to throw a super chat, that's great. You want to back us on Patreon, that's great. Buy a t-shirt. All that's great. All we want you to do is just show up, hang out. You
Yeah.
guys make this show
Yeah.
what it is. We
You guys are
appreciate it.
fucking awesome. Thanks for the fucking super chats. To
Let
give
it
us
fly,
links
dude.
in case
Yeah,
we
we
get
may not
fucking
get
super
another F word.
Get out
demonetized.
everything you want. Now's your chance, Jason.
It's the only time.
And
Yeah.
Marvel,
I had to do
fuck your $8 book. All right.
Out of control.
There's no
Love
way it's
it.
monetized after this. All right.
I would
We're
love
outta
it
here.
if it was. 'Cause then
Awesome.
that's
We
proof of
we'll be
concept
back.
that we can swear all the time.
It was worth it. Thank you, Venomized Ryan, for that.
Yeah, thanks everybody for
We
hanging
will be
out.
back next week, and our guest.
Boogie's got to look it up. That's how
Bear
damn popular
with
we
me.
are. That's how popular we are.
Oh, man,
No,
another guest.
our guest next week is the 3-panel crime scene dude on Instagram.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah,
Oh.
Ryland Grant. Surprise, hook that up. So I'll
Dude,
touch
awesome.
base with him. We're going to be talking to him. It's going to be good times.
Thanks,
Haven for
Haven.
Heroes is on Periscope. Says good show. I'll be back next week. Thank you. Come check us out on YouTube. S&B Network. Subscribe to the channel. For these idiots, I'm Boogie Bentley. We're gone. Thank you guys.